Welcome to episode 23 of the Drive History Podcast, covering July 16th through July 22nd. This week, we dive into the Porsche 911 going hybrid for the first time ever in 2025, the return of the Ford Capri as an electric crossover blob, and much more. Our history segment spans the debut of the Wienermobile, or Glizzymobile as the kids call it these days, to the launch of the sexpot Ferrari F40. And, as always, we'll round out the episode with your listener mail, featuring insights on the VW and Rivian deal and a Prom by PT Cruiser story. Buckle up for another heater of an episode. You're listening to the Drive History Podcast, an automotive talk show that offers a day-by-day deep dive into the industry's most important and off-the-wall events. I'm Brian Corey.
And I'm Jordan Stead, and we are your hosts. Each episode will cover the latest automotive news and the week's history with lively discussion between the two of us cheapskate car enthusiasts and occasional guests. Punch it!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Drive History Podcast. This is Brian Corey. I keep leaning back, Jordan.
I know. You're really too comfy over there.
Too comfy.
You're getting too comfortable in this podcast, brother.
That's true. It's because it's so fun, and I just feel so close with you. And
it's a trap. That's a trap.
Just lean back.
You never know. I might come out of the woodwork and do something totally unexpected.
Scare me.
Yeah, maybe I will. I already screamed in this podcast once on an intro and it didn't go well. So I'm not going to do that again.
We've had some fun with it.
Yeah. The listeners are like, it was not fun.
Yeah, we lost about 6. Yeah. The subscriber count just dropped.
Just if you look at the view graph of that episode, you could literally see the drop off as I screamed. Great.
They're like, what is this podcast about? Oh, it's just some guy screaming.
Yeah. I mean, kind of.
You can get enough of that down on the street.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. You're right, though. We pretty much just scream and yell about car shit.
Yeah.
I love car shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of car shit.
Yeah. Go on.
I saw my first Cybertruck the other day.
So did I. It must have been the same one.
Here in town?
Yes.
Was it silver?
You know what? Funny enough, it was.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. How'd you feel? How did it make you feel in person?
When the moment I saw it, I was like, "Oh, cool, the Cybertruck!" And then I was like, "Damn, that thing's fucking big."
It is gigantic.
Yeah. Then I was like, "Okay, I've seen it."
Yeah. It literally is the definition of a visual flash in the pan.
Yeah. I don't know. What did you think? Where were you at? What was your?
Well, so I have seen far more than I thought I would have seen by now. And when I first saw the Cybertruck get announced, I thought, oh, it's going to be a while until I see one of these. Like, a lot of people are not going to buy these. Right. Boy, was I wrong.
Right.
Like, I've probably seen 10 of them by now. I've seen them all over the U.S. I've been in a couple cities since it kind of debuted. And, yeah, people are buying them. Okay. My wife and I were driving in Boston. And I was like, oh my God, this is my first sighting. A Cybertruck was driving right by us.
Wait, if you're in Boston, is it called a Cybertruck?
Yes, it is. And I was like, oh, take out your phone. Because I was driving. I was like, take out your phone, babe. Like, take a video of this thing. It'll be good for the podcast or something. We'll put it on social media. And she pulls up her phone and starts taking a video. And she's like, what is this? What am I taking a video of? And I'm like, it's the Cybertruck. It's the Tesla Cybertruck. She's like, and just on record as she's taking a video of this thing, she just goes, that thing looks so fucking stupid. So that's the clip I have of it. I thought maybe we should put that on the social.
Probably. I think that we need to.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this briefly before, but it's one of those things where it's cool in the sense that it's new.
Yes.
But is it going to be cool 2 seconds after you acknowledge that it's new? And I think the answer for me, at least, is not really.
Same. I had the same experience. I wonder if what the goal was at Tesla was to create something that's going to start a new trend in auto design. And that's not what's happening. That or Elon Musk is insane. And he's like, just build the craziest thing that you can.
The coolest part about it is the death metal letters.
Yeah,
for the Cybertruck.
I'll take
that's badass.
I'll take that.
Yeah. It also is, if you think about it, it's so not representative of the rest of Tesla's designs, which I think is a little bit odd. Like all of the Tesla models prior to the Cybertruck to me look almost identical. They're just like these blobs that are sort of shaped slightly differently. And they're great for what they are, but it's not like there's some stunning achievement of design that everyone's like, oh, this is great, so defined.
Right.
And then the Cybertruck completely tries to do that in like a abusive way.
True.
And I guess it works, like we're saying, but I don't know. Yeah, I would I ever buy one? Absolutely not.
Right.
Never.
Especially for $200,000 or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of EVs or hybrids that you might buy,
Yep.
how about this one? What do you got?
Well, the big news today that we just simply cannot skip over is the fact that the 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS goes hybrid. And not that type of hybrid, though. So it's not a Prius. The good news is that the hybrid subtly integrates electrification without altering the core 911 driving experience. And it enhances power and performance with 532 horsepower and 449 pound-feet of torque. The cool part about this is the hybrid system really uses two different electric motors. One aids the turbocharger and one aids the PDK automatic transmission, which results in this very smooth, seamless driving experience with virtually no turbo lag and super fast speeds. This is cool because I think it solved the number one issue with turbochargers, right? The one thing people always talk about is turbo lag. And there's a really cool diagram that shows how the one electric motor is built into the turbo.
Oh, yeah.
And it literally causes the turbine inside of the turbo electrically to spin up instantly. So it doesn't need exhaust gases to speed it up.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you literally get full boost from the turbo from the get-go because it just electrically speeds up the turbine.
Wow.
And then, as if the Porsche PDK transmission was not lightning fast enough already, the other electric motor is inside the transmission, and it makes it even faster and more seamless. So the reports and the video reviews I was reading was when you're in normal mode in this 911, you don't even feel the shifts anymore. So it almost feels like a fully electric car, seamless in terms of its shifting. And then when you shift it into something or set it into something like Sport or Sport Plus, then you can start feeling more of the kick between gears. So you get the experience when you want it, and you get to dial it back when you don't want it, which is really interesting. So, I mean, it's apparently maintaining its signature handling and agility and usability and that big kind of balanced, beautiful thing that 911s offer. But it's just got this crazy integration of electricity into it.
Is this the end of gas-only 911s then?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably. I mean, and the other interesting part is they introduced this first in the GTS, which is essentially kind of the middle tier of 911s.
Uh-huh.
Like the tier, or the, not just 911s, but in Porsche speak, GTS is kind of like the middle spec and like enthusiast focused trim level of a lot of their cars. And then, so you can imagine if it's this fast and this cool in the GTS, imagine what like the Turbo S, like the top trim of a 911 will be with this technology built in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds already. So I don't even,
crazy.
Yeah, I don't even understand it. Yeah.
I can run that fast.
Yeah. I also would love to experience being in a car that has that kind of a launch. I've never been in something that fast.
Right. Well, we're about 15 subscribers away from being actual journalists, automotive journalists. So
there you go.
We'll be getting press cars here pretty quick.
Yeah, 100%. The fastest thing I've been in and done a launch in was some dude's 700 horsepower Skyline GTR R35. But it was, I think, half broken when he launched it. It definitely sounded like it was half broken. And hearing about GTR transmissions in the R35, there's a very good chance that it was probably broken. But it was still cool. Fair. And it was loud and it felt weird and I felt kind of sick. So that was cool.
I mean, what about when you did like the supercar experience?
I didn't get to launch it.
Yeah, sure.
From a stop. But yeah, I don't know what the speeds on those are. Huracans and 488 Pistas. I mean, it's probably somewhere around the 3.5 second mark, I bet.
Quick.
Yeah, super
fun.
Quick. But yeah, anyway, I think just the electrification of the turbo is probably just the coolest, weirdest, most rad way that they could have made a quote-unquote hybrid out of the 911.
Yeah, sure. Man, I want to do it.
You don't do it for gas mileage, that's for sure. Not in the 911.
Well, I wonder what that is in this.
Good question. I probably should have looked that up. I think it's mid-30s from what I remember reading. Yeah.
If you want a car that's fun and gets you where you want to go without breaking the bank, well, I mean, you have to.
Yeah, you got to
rob like 12 banks to buy this thing, but
you literally
once you have the car,
break into a bank.
Yeah. Once you have it, it's not that expensive to fill up.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a 911 before?
I don't think that I have. My uncle had a 9/8 or whatever the 80s Porsches were that were like not the 911.
Sure.
Dude, why can't I think of the numbers on it? 984 or something like that.
Yeah. The one that's like kind of the redheaded stepchild of the...
Yeah. It's like a front engine Porsche.
People want those, the swing is... People are getting into them, but you could get those things for nothing.
Totally.
For the
Same with the
time.
914s, man, it would be fun to have something like that too. But no, I have not really had a Porsche experience.
Yeah. My only real Porsche experience was Turoing. Still not sponsored.
You love Turo.
99 Porsche Boxster for a day, and it was awesome. The interior was abysmal, but it was very fun to drive. Drop top, Boxster, it was great. 6-speed, it was very cool. Anyway.
On the other end of the alternate fuel verse, we have something else coming out.
We do. Something a lot less compelling. But I'm gonna read you a couple of words and a couple of statements, and I want you to tell me what you think it means. You ready?
Should I pretend like I don't know what it means?
Yeah. Exactly. It's movie magic. Cool, athletic, past meets future, rebellious to its core, and intelligent technologies.
If I didn't know what we were about to chat about,
that's a good way to think of this.
I would actually think maybe it's like the new DeLorean or the next Mustang or something of that nature, or like even the Camaro, since they're like ending the Camaro, like how's it gonna like come back?
The past meets future thing is kind of the like sneaky. What is this?
Right.
Yeah. Well. You know what it is? You do know what it is because you can see it right here on the notes. Folks, the Ford Capri is back, and just not how you remember it. This was originally a two-door coupe that Ford sold in the 60s through the 80s.
Hot rally car, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's just kind of this like cool two-door hatchy kind of thing. And now it's returning as a mid-sized electric crossover on the VW MEB platform.
Honestly, with all these partnerships between different brands, I think that we're all just buying cars from one guy.
For sure.
Like one guy just runs the car industry.
One guy.
Like I don't know who it is, but Ford, Volkswagen, Rivian, Stellantis, like all these companies are just one guy. Totally.
This vehicle, which is Euro spec only, which is a little interesting.
Even narrower than that, right?
Yeah, true. The base car features rear-wheel drive and a single electric motor, making 282 horsepower, while a dual-motor all-wheel drive version makes 335 horsepower. Like I said, we won't be getting this in the States, and set to be built in Germany. UK pricing for the standard model is $61,000 and change, while the premium trim brings the total to $66,000.
Man.
I don't understand.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Please.
Didn't Jim Farley just say, let's get back to the small, cheap cars?
I think that's exactly what he just said this week. Yeah, you're right. My favorite line from this Car and Driver article is, quote, from a styling perspective, the Capri is a mixed bag. It's not particularly engaging to look at, nor is it offensive. And not only is it a nice summarizing sentence, but it kind of opened this door for me in my brain where I feel like this sentence sums up so many vehicles right now. And not just from a styling perspective. And the real question I have when I saw this Capri and I was reading about it is I was just asking myself and the universe, do we really need another one of these?
Need like at least a dozen more.
Yeah, totally. No. These like mid-sized electric crossovers, like there are so many already, and they're not even selling well, and they look all the same, and they're all over the board in terms of pricing, but they're usually expensive. I don't understand.
Well, they're expensive because they're so incredibly expensive to develop in the first place. And then they don't sell well, so they when they do sell, they have to sell them for $1 bajillion.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like it's oversaturated in the market for what this is. Every single car company is trying to just put out a basic car, but because of inflation and all that, the base car price now is plus 50.
Yeah.
And it's it's terrible for the average consumer. I mean, what I do appreciate about this particular vehicle is that it has a 400-mile range or more.
Yeah, true.
Which is pretty good for an EV these days.
Yep.
And as we work toward, well, obviously this is UK or Euro only, but as we work towards the infrastructure to promote electric vehicle ownership, it's only going to make sense if your cars get that kind of range, because that's what you can get out of a tank of gas.
Yeah.
And to be able to get to work and to home 3 times,
Yep.
you know, and to charge it at home and not have to go to a charging station, because I still think that's the biggest barrier is having to sit there for 30 minutes in some parking lot and wait for your car to charge up so you can go 20 more miles.
Yeah, and there's like the 2-prong part of this, right? There's the electric distance, right? The range, and there's the charging speed. And that's, I'm actually even more compelled by charging speed in a way.
That's fair.
The new Lotus Elise, I believe, there's a concept out there where it's fully electric, and it's something like it can go from 0 to 80% charge in 4 minutes with the proper charger. Now we're talking, baby. I'm into that.
That makes sense.
And that's way more compelling to me in general.
Brief side note on Lotus. We went up to the top of the mountain, Mount Baker, last weekend. Yeah. I think the Lotus Club was up there. There was like 3 or 4 different Lotuses just parked up at the top of the mountain, taking in the views.
Was there a red one up there that was kind of beat up?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know
that dude rips that thing in autocross locally.
I love it.
Yeah. Shout out to that guy.
Well, is it out yet? Did it already?
Oh, good question.
This is just it's a 2024. I gotta imagine.
Yeah.
It's probably coming down the pipe right now.
Yeah, and I will say, even though I just read that quote and I agree with it, I actually kind of like the way this looks. In terms of a mid-size electric crossover, it's kind of cool looking. And when I say that, I primarily just like the wheels. They're kind of like this almost Alfa Romeo-esque, like Clover style wheel. Mm-hmm. And I like the headlights and the taillights, but then the rest of it just kind of looks like a smashed banana.
Because it's yellow.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
The color of the press vehicle, so important.
Oh, totally.
So important.
Totally. And ironically, they're never silver.
Yes.
But then they only sell them in silver.
Of the cars are. That's a good point. That's funny.
So weird. Anyway.
I love it. You want to get into a little bit of automotive history?
Let's do it. That's what we do here.
That is what we do here.
Yeah, hit me. What do we got?
Well, we're tracing the history of July 16th through the 22nd, starting in 1935, when the very first parking meter in the world was installed in Oklahoma City.
God, I hate that.
Also, they're building like the biggest skyscraper ever in Oklahoma.
I saw that.
Trying to.
They need to chill.
What's going on?
I don't know.
OKC. And they stole the Sonics.
Yeah. What's going on around here? This place is wicked.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about that, except it's interesting. 1935.
It's a little late to me. It seems like people have been driving cars for almost like 30 years regularly.
Yeah, man. Free parking all those years?
Whoa.
Can you imagine how mad the person probably was that pulled up to that thing the first time and was like, what do you mean I have to pay money
a nickel
to leave my shit here?
Where do I tie my horse up?
Yeah, that's...
Also, it was probably one parking meter, like on a big street.
Right.
And like every other spot was free and that one was open. And then some guy had to park there.
Yeah. I'm always confused now by, no matter where you go, particularly in the U.S., every single parking meter is different.
Oh my God.
Every one. You've got ones like in our town, in Bellingham, you can still plug quarters into these things. But then they also have a digital readout, and you can also sort of, try to jam your card in somewhere and it doesn't work half the time.
True.
Or then now you get to do the pay by phone thing, or then you're also using cash, and then you have a private lot that has one of those big ones that's powered by solar power that's dead half the time.
Right. And there's the garages and there's the street parking, and I just don't know where I'm supposed to park, so I take the bus.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. Yeah, using coins anyway. Yeah.
I don't want to pay $1.25 to park anywhere.
I know, right? And we're so spoiled, by the way. Like, people are listening from like outside of here.
$15, 15 minutes.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God.
Small town life.
Anyway, July 16th, 1998, Nissan announces that domestic production, meaning built in Japan, of the Nissan Terrano SUV will hit 1 million units. It took 11 years and 11 months of production to achieve the milestone, as the vehicle debuted in August 1986. The second generation hit the market in late 1995. And man, this is a good looking old school SUV.
Right?
Really like beautiful, classic Nissan, Toyota-y, Japanese designing from that era. It looks cool, and I love the two-tone paint.
I feel like a lot of the cars of that era coming out of Japan had that two-tone feel to it with the lower body panels, the fenders, and then it's got probably like 15 or 16-inch wheels wrapped around with really big rubber wrapped around them, just like those puffy wheels. Yeah, it's solid, and this is one of the like early SUVs on the market
for sure,
like globally.
I wonder if that metal like cattle guard in the front was stock. Probably was, but it was optional.
I mean, this is a stock photo from Nissan.
Yeah,
that we're looking at.
You know what's funny is the look at the back. The back door has a vertically mounted handle to open the door.
I was just gonna make note of that.
Isn't that funny?
I think that it reminds me of my friend had an Isuzu Trooper.
Yes.
When we were in high school, and it had the same kind of latching system on it. Just those small details.
Yeah, it's funny because the front doors don't. They have a typical horizontal mounted handle, but the back is vertical.
I wonder why they did that.
I don't know, but I would think you'd want to put the one in the back lower so your little kids could get in there. You know, they can't even reach that thing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
This is you have to be 5'1" to ride this ride kind of car.
And that's what we call design thinking, my friends. Right. The other thing that always stands out to me from cars of this era is the visibility in them. Like, look at how much glass is in this car, and how if you're sitting in any seat, you could turn your head and you can see the same amount in any direction.
That's true.
So
all the pillars are really thin. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Forester. Like my Forester from 02 it's a fishbowl.
Totally.
There's so much visibility, it really spoils you.
We should talk to our importer friends and see if these are easy to get over here.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to roll around in something a little bit different.
For sure.
I can already smell it.
Yeah.
Like it's got that like clothy interior smell.
Yes.
July 17th, 1985, the Ford Aerostar minivan begins production. This is, of course, in response to the Chrysler minivans that came out just a year earlier. I grew up with a Volkswagen van and a Toyota Previa.
Nice.
Were your folks into the van life?
No. My mom was into the wagons, actually.
Oh,
Passat wagon.
See where you get it.
Jetta wagon? Did they make that? I don't remember. It was a boxier version. Yeah, my dad had like
my brother drives
Toyota
a Jetta
trucks. My dad had a 325 BMW coupe.
Oh, that's right.
We had all sorts of stuff, but no, we never had a van. But a lot of friends had them. Yeah, those are cool. I remember the Aerostar for sure.
My buddy had one when we were like in our early 20s, and he ripped out the back seat and would haul his quad in it. It fit just perfectly inside the van.
Oh, yeah.
But one day it rolled back a little too far while I was inside and shattered the back window. And
nice.
That was kind of the end of that.
Yes. Yeah. My minivan crush is the like newest Toyota Sienna.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the new vans are incredible.
They're like rolling fortresses of luxury.
They're hybrid. And yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, they do cost $80,000.
They are super expensive, but they look cool as shit, I think. The Toyota Sienna XSE hybrid is a beautiful car, beautiful van. And they come in cool colors too. They did not skimp on the colors on that thing. There's like kind of a almost flaky gold flake over a moss green color I've seen on one.
What?
Looks great. Yeah.
Dang.
I know.
I'm very familiar with the black on black on black ones. I feel like that's a hot thing with minivans these days too.
Yeah.
But I would get into it. Actually, my dad was talking about that. He's got the grandkids from my brother these days. He's like, I might get back in the minivan game. Yeah. He traded in the Toyota Previa for a Dodge Durango in like 99.
Okay.
So
how are they liking their new
Kia? I think they really enjoy it. I haven't got the full report yet, but they've driven it all over the state.
I forgot. It's a hybrid?
Hybrid.
Yeah. Plug-in hybrid?
No. But what's the model? Santa Fe. Not Santa Fe. Maybe it's a Santa Fe. What's the other one?
We'll never know.
No, what's the other one? Do you know?
No. There's
Mom,
so
right?
many.
I know you're listening, so just send me an email. I can't remember. Sportage. That's what it is.
Sportage. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's sweet. I drove it. It's pretty chill. I mean, it's a very modern, high-tech, comfortable car.
Is it kind of quick?
I didn't really get into it too much, just around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it definitely is something that you can see a lot of people driving.
Right.
And I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
July 17th, 2007, Mercedes announces a roadster version of the SLR McLaren, which had already been out for about a year in coupe. And this thing is so beautiful, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but I've always enjoyed these vehicles when I see them on the road.
Yeah. This is like peak Mercedes
Totally.
timeless design, I think.
Oh,
modern design.
The grill point, where it comes down to the Mercedes logo, is just, ugh.
I'm surprised that got through regulations.
True.
That shape.
That's true. It's dangerous.
Because what other vehicle has a super pointed nose?
Plymouth Prowler.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. A great example.
Had to have those huge bumper guards on it.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's a cool little roadster, and these are starting to become more affordable too. I don't remember what's under the hood of these things. I think it's a V8, but
they had a supercharged 5.4 liter V8, I believe. It's like 600 something horse.
oh yeah, these were
crazy.
little supercars.
Yeah, 5-speed automatic, which probably absolutely sucks, but it is what it is. And I don't know how affordable they are, because they are like Sotheby's auctions have sold them for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000.
Oh,
So they're like big boy money collectors.
dang!
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, they're cool. My favorite feature is, the front pointed thing is rad. They have those turbine style wheels, which are cool.
Yeah.
And then they have a underrated thing that I didn't remember they had, which is they have side exit exhausts in front
sick.
of both doors.
Side pipes.
Yeah, baby.
Dude.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Kind of like the G-Wagon, still does.
True.
And then they have these kind of literal gills, like fish gill style things on the fenders, and it looks sweet.
I think that's reminiscent of the 300 SL from the 50s. Had a similar kind of engine heat exhaust system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Makes me hungry.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah. July 18th, 1936. This is the biggest news ever, my guy. You ready?
Let's hear it.
The Wienermobile debuts. It was built in a Chicago factory. Since its inception, there have been 11 versions built of the Wienermobile, and they were all driven by, quote, hot doggers, unquote.
I want that job.
You're a hot dogger.
You're a hot dogger.
While the cars intended to get bigger over the years, Oscar Mayer built a small version in 2008 based off of the Mini Cooper S hardtop, which is absolutely diabolical. It is like, could they have chosen an that's the worst chassis they could have built this thing on.
It's so weird that they would do that.
Yeah, like the wiener is bigger than the car itself. Can you imagine how just the faintest wind could come along, catch the side of the wiener, and just throw that thing over?
Well, I saw the Red Bull car had a Mini Cooper.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
What if there's a correlation?
Oh, I bet there's some sort of company that builds these one-off cars, and they're like, I can do it with a Mini Cooper.
Yeah. I mean, it looks unbelievably ridiculous. And also, it drives me crazy that on the Mini Cooper version, the car itself is banana yellow, but the wiener is like a weird orangey color. And it's like a two-toned wiener car combo, and it's just painful to look at.
I think it's supposed to be the bun. What trips me out is that they left like the front grille so you can tell it's a Mini still. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's so trippy.
How do you get the job to design this? Like a team of people literally got paid probably pretty decent money to design this.
Yeah, a lot.
God.
A lot. And then they paid some kid $15 an hour to drive it around the country and hand out wiener whistles.
I feel like the Chicago sort of beginning of the villain story here is cool. Did you ever have any wiener excursions in Chicago when you were there?
Man, I mean, I definitely ate my fair share of hot dogs.
Yeah.
Mostly at the baseball games.
Yeah.
Had to be careful not to ask for the ketchup.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Gotta be careful.
But it's interesting to me that such a basic food can have such a big market.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and they're not hot dogs anymore. You know what they are? McGlizzies.
What?
Yeah. That's the name for hot dogs now. That's what all the kids are calling hot dogs.
McGlizzies?
No,
Glizzies?
McGlizzy. Oh my God, you just came up with $1 billion idea for McDonald's. Holy shit. McDonald's, holler at us. The McGlizzy? Oh my God.
Glizzy.
Glizzy. Literally.
Okay.
Glizzy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who has a hot dog stand called Glizzy's, and I just thought, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I just thought he was calling it that because he's kind of like a rapper guy, and I was like, okay, this is your thing.
I think a bunch of like Gen Z kids kind of came up with a new name for it, but I did hear an interesting conspiracy theory the other day that Oscar Mayer themselves tried to change the name hot dog to Glizzy just to like reinvigorate the idea of hot dogs in like this era.
What is a Glizzy?
It's a fucking hot dog. That's it. It's literally like saying,
what is this podcast?
yeah, what is I mean, this may be this is the best historical fact we've ever had on here. Like, we could go so many places with this conversation, this history point. But yeah, this is the Glizzy-mobile, my guy. That's what it is now.
Oh, I could get behind that. Because they did try to change it from the Wienermobile to the Frankmobile or Frankfurter-mobile or something like that. Because,
see, they tried to do it again.
PC.
Yeah, Frankfurters, right? That's a whole nother. They tried to rebrand hot dogs again.
No, it's just hot dog.
Yeah, it's Glizzies. They're Glizzies, man. I think it's a new era.
All right.
Yeah, it's the Glizzy-mobile. So I'm going to reread the fact. 1936, the Glizzy-mobile debuts.
The Oscar Mayer Glizzy-mobile. Get it.
Oh man,
wait. One more thing. Do you remember the Oscar Mayer song?
Vaguely, but I feel like there's a layer of trauma protection that's trying to stop me from remembering the tune.
Like, oh, I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Also, why? Like, why do I wish that I was a Glizzy?
Get out of here. Moving on.
July 19th.
Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad.
Oh, very nice. That's the car fact right there.
Yeah.
They have a Kia Sportage. There it is. We've related it back to automobiles. Yeah. Yes, happy anniversary, y'all. July 19th, 2021, Subaru announces the impending release of an all-new WRX for 2022, marking the second generation of the WRX as an independent model. The badging first showed up in 1992 on Impreza models and remained there until 2014. The second gen, or VB, features Subaru's 2.4-liter Turbo 4 and a 6-speed transmission. How do we feel here about the newest WRX?
I just wish it came in a wagon.
True. I will also echo the entire internet and wish that they would just make an STI version.
Yeah. What's up with that?
It's not a plan. But they have come out with a trim level called the TR, Tuner Ready, which basically strips out some weight, doesn't include a sunroof, I think, and there's a couple other like little goodies involved.
And they're like, you do the work.
Basically, yeah. Oh. I'm just gonna say,
does it come with rust? Just
maybe. Yeah, you never know. I don't mind the VB, but the VA is, I think, peak for me. Modern.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, they're so rad, and you can get them for decent prices now. I was surprised. I've been looking around lately, and you can get a fairly non-clapped out one VA for in the high teens, mid-teens. I saw one 15 grand the other day. Maybe that was a little bit clapped, but then into the 20s, and like that's a lot of car for not a lot of money. And
that's probably the trick, though, is finding one that hasn't been modded out
for sure.
Ew.
So that then you can mod it out immensely, because that's literally the first thing that I would do.
Fair.
But yeah, they're cool. They look great. I think that gen is going to hold up delightfully for many, many decades, the VA especially.
Do you think that the WRX is going to be a model that lasts a long time for Subaru? Even just in the era of changing fuels and all that.
It's a good question. I feel like the internet thinks Subaru is doing a terrible job of retaining especially its enthusiast customers, which they kind of are, I guess.
Now it's strictly an outdoor brand.
I guess.
It's the REI of the car market.
It is, for sure. But I feel like it would be so bad to get rid of the WRX. It's just such a staple of the brand. Like, without the WRX, what does Subaru have that's even minutely geared toward anything but family outdoor cars?
BRZ.
Well, true, but that's, it's mixed, right?
Sure.
With Toyota and such. I just mean a true, like, Subarus.
No, you're right. There's nothing fun.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, look, I don't hold the Subaru purse strings, but if I was running the show, I'd say, like, even if we produced 500 of these things a year and they didn't even sell, which they would.
We're still doing it.
We gotta do it. Like, we have to keep this going. It's like our lifeline to a legacy as well. Like, just the heritage of the WRX as well is such a rich part of Subaru history.
True.
Anyway.
Good point. July 20th, 1897.
Oh, here he is. He's back. 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
E.L. Cord is born, the founder of Cord.
Oh, go figure.
Among the notable things that he did, he kind of helped to pioneer front-wheel drive in American vehicles. The 1929 Cord L29 and the 36 and 37 Cord 810, 812 were the first cars in America to be mass-produced and have front-wheel drive. And he was also just a big businessman. So aside with Cord, he owned Auburn and Duesenberg, which were like two of the most prestigious automotive brands in the 20s and 30s. Huh. But all three of those companies, Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg, failed during the Great Depression around 1937. But I did visit the Auburn, Cord, Duesenberg factory in Auburn, Indiana. They have a museum in the original factory and showroom. It's really cool. If I know you're not the biggest old car guy.
I'm in, man.
But it's a really fascinating museum, to be honest. And they have some of the rarest, coolest stuff there.
Yeah. E.L. Cord. What a name.
Eli, right? I think it's Eli. I'm not going to try.
All these old
Eli
dudes.
Lobard. That's Eli Lobard Cord.
Okay. All these old dudes have some wild names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I ever have kids, I'm going to be borrowing some of them.
100%. Bring it, throw it way back. Yeah. Forget all these millennial names. Go with the E.L. Cord,
E.L. Cord. July 20th, 1967, a Panhard 24 marked the end of 77 years of Panhard production. The French automaker had originally been founded in 1897, and it was among the first automakers to adopt the steering wheel, opposed to a tiller steering mechanism.
What a novel concept.
Yes.
What is the tiller steering?
Like a stick that you would use instead of a wheel that turns wheels.
Like a literal till.
Like a tiller.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's how a lot of the early cars operated.
Okay.
Up until, I think their first car, like in like the late 1880s, had one. And then really it was kind of the Ford Model T standardized it.
God, I would crash immediately, I feel like.
I don't know. Have you ever driven a boat?
Yes. Well, yeah. And that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, man, driving a boat on land. Yeah. I don't know how quick to do what I need to do. I would be able to react.
True. Yeah, it would be an experience.
I got one hand on my glizzy, like eating a glizzy in the car, and then I got my other hand on the tiller. I'm like, who knows what's going to happen.
Trying to plug in your Apple CarPlay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, rip Panhard.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of that, by the way. This is the first time ever in my life I've heard that.
Yeah, it's not one of those automakers you hear a lot about. They have a big following for their pre-war stuff. It was kind of one of those glamorous French automakers for a while, but to be honest, I don't know much about it either.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, listener-wise of this podcast, how often people are hearing these facts and are going like, wow, I literally have never heard of this. Because I feel like this happens to me almost every episode, so...
Yeah, I mean, me too. Just doing the research. Like, I find out about things all the time. And like somebody who's, an amateur automotive historian, it's just nice to uncover something new.
For sure. July 21, 1987, the Ferrari F40 debuts, celebrating Ferrari's 40th anniversary. It is the last car to be personally approved by the company's founder, Enzo Ferrari. The iconic supercar features a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V8 that makes up to 477 horsepower, connected to the only transmission, 5-speed. Only 1,311 were built between Nope. 1987 and 1992. So a little 5-year run there. And it originally sold for about $400,000. Dang.
Which was around $1 million in today's money at the time.
Jesus. I guess that checks out. There's a lot of Ferraris that sell for that now.
Yeah.
The F40 was an early example of people buying a brand new car for investment purposes.
This is interesting. Yeah. I mean,
Makes sense.
I was reading about this. I mean, keep going.
Yeah, many believed Enzo would pass away soon, and they would raise the price of the car, and they were not wrong. By 1989.
I know you love the 1800s.
I know, I'm stuck in the 1800s, man. Back to the future. By 1989, resale prices reached nearly 7 times the original car price, close to $3 million in those days dollars. It's estimated that in 1990 that only 10% of F40s were sold and were actually used for driving. The rest were investment pieces.
Isn't that crazy?
Man.
But I think that still holds true for these iconic car brands, supercar brands in general. I mean, you don't buy them to drive them as daily drivers. You get them out every once in a while, but I do think that enthusiasts and people with money who can afford this kind of stuff, like they want to drive it.
Yeah.
But back then, like, this was like Wall Street brokers
totally
going in together to buy a.
God, can you imagine being like a Wall Street broker in the late 80s, just buying an F40, my guy? What a time. God, you're just blasted on Coke and Glizzies, and you're just, let's go buy an F40.
God, you're addicted to Glizzies now.
And this is a really dumb question. I think I know the answer, but is this the last car approved by Enzo because he died, or he was like, this is the last one that I'm going to approve?
I think
then he accidentally died.
Well, I mean, he was old.
Yeah.
I think it just ended up being the last car that he approved. Like, he never retired or whatever.
Okay. Well, at the time, journalist Mel Nichols wrote of the car, I do not yet know whether the F40 is tractable in traffic, fearsome on the wet, harsh on bumpy roads, or too noisy on long journeys. It has no luggage space, and getting in and out is awkward. But I do know this. On a smooth road is scintillatingly fast car that is docile and charming in its nature, a car that is demanding but not difficult to drive, blessed as it is with massive grip, and even more importantly, superb balance and manners. You can use its performance the closest any production car maker has yet come to race car levels and revel in it.
Long quote, but I think it covers a lot of bases.
Totally. Also, I would never think that someone would describe an F40 as docile.
Or awkward.
Yeah. Anyway, things that I don't know for 100.
Well, how many F40s have you driven?
Exactly. God. 0.
Goodness gracious. There's an incredible Ferrari collection at the Peterson Museum in LA, and they have one of these that are parked next to an F50. I would take the F40.
Yeah, I agree, I believe.
Yeah. Oof. July 22nd, 2013. It was announced that the 100,000th zero-emission vehicle developed in partnership between Renault and Nissan was sold. What was the result of that partnership? It was a Nissan Leaf to begin with. The first of which was sold in 2010. This 100,000th car, which was also a Leaf, was purchased by Allison Howard, a student at Kennesaw State University in Atlanta. So I didn't even know that this partnership existed, first of all, which is another mind blow. Just see, told you, one guy's running the show.
I guess so.
But at the time that this 100,000th car was sold, it was about the 71,000th Leaf, meaning they'd produced some other 30,000 cars in this partnership. But the Leaf was the best-selling fully electric vehicle on the market in the world in 2013. And they'd only sold 70,000 of them.
What was the competition?
Not much, but they was about to change big time.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is right around when Tesla was starting to kick things off.
You see a lot of Leafs around.
True. Still.
Leafs, Bolts, Volts, right? Bolts and a Volts?
They dropped one of them.
Yeah.
The Volt, I think.
Yeah. I actually have thought in the past about having one of those be the cheap around town electric car. But I know they had, like, because of the age, the battery replacement situation made it really not worth it and stuff like that if you were to buy it used with higher mileage. But Yeah, they're cool. I actually like the Leaf, and they have such a distinctive color in my mind. That kind of like light blue flake.
Yeah, totally.
You know? It's like so representative of the car itself.
It's like an eco-friendly paint color.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know
It
how.
feels okay to the environment. Yeah.
Well, that's a very calming note to end the history on.
That's a good chunk of history, man.
That was good stuff.
Oscar Mayer obviously being the top dog there, but...
coming through.
Hey, let's get to some reader mail. What do we got here?
Let's hear it. Hep on Instagram was responding to our chat about Rivian or Volkswagen investing in Rivian. This is what he had to say. Volkswagen also has done this, invested before with Navistar, which makes international trucks, bailed them out, and now has controlling stock and a foothold in North American trucking, allowing them a seat at the table with Daimler, Volvo, and PACCAR. For VW, Rivian seems to fall in line with their plans for Scout's launch, and this might be the opening VW needs to get in the North American light truck market for a change. I mean, this tracks with kind of what we were talking about anyway, but that's an interesting point about like the big rigs and that kind of thing.
It's all business, baby.
Sure is.
Dang.
Volkswagen's taking over.
Yeah, one person.
Mr. Volkswagen.
That's right. Here's our other one. Reader mail. Russell S. has a note about PT Cruisers, which we talked about at length in the last episode.
All of Jordan's favorite PT Cruisers.
That's right. Hell yeah. Russell says, I thought the PT Cruiser was very cool, but I was a little skeptical about owning one. Then I got an opportunity. Our son's senior prom was the same weekend as the Kentucky Derby, and all the limos were down in Louisville. So I made him a deal. If he would allow me, his stepdad, to be his chauffeur, I would drive him and his date to dinner and the prom. I rented a PT Cruiser to do it. It was fun to drive, but it was also scary because it had some big blind spots. I had several near misses. Perhaps there was a reason they quit making cars that looked like that. Anyhow, I did it up and wore a retro suit, white gloves and all. We had a great time.
Cool. Good on you, Russell. Way to step it up for your kid.
For sure.
And I'm guessing that there wasn't a lot of other cars to rent, maybe.
Yeah, I'm surprised that was even available for rent, to be real.
Yeah. But good on you for just being a good sport about it. I'm curious if he went the extra mile and bought one, because he prefaced all this with never having the opportunity to own one.
True. The real question is, what trim did you drive?
Right.
Was it the like 101 Highway Edition or whatever the hell, or maybe it was a Viper V10 swap?
I want that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think I know why they stopped making cars that look like that, because it looked like ass. But I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Here's a little fact for you.
Yeah.
The guy who designed the PT Cruiser also designed the Chevy HHR.
Yeah, totally unsurprising.
Now, he is the president of Global Cadillac Design.
Let's go. Wow, come up.
Yeah.
Man, talk about a phrase the kids like to use. That man had a glow up.
He's glistening and glowing.
He started in the pits, and now look at him. He's designing the Celestique or whatever.
Dude.
That's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, what a long career. I was reading about him after we did that episode, and I think he started at Chrysler in like the mid 90s, and led design on that. And to be honest, like for what it is, like sure, it's not that much appealing, but it sold a bajillion units, like, and they're still all over the road. So it's true. So props. Yeah,
definitely not hating, but it's one of those things. It's like the Nickelback of vehicles, right? Like they're selling out arenas for decades straight, but yet everyone pretends to hate them, but yet they're still so rich and so popular. So I'm playing the Nickelback card on the PT Cruiser, but hey man, if I had a 5-speed turbo GT, I'd be ripping that thing.
Let's go.
Speaking of ripping that thing, where can people find us?
Hit us up on the gram.
Do it.
Stay in Automotive History or the Drive History Pod. Please, if you have questions or comments, send us an email at contact@carsandcopymedia.com. And wherever you're listening, be sure to hit that subscribe and share button.
Yes. And you can find me at Jordan B. Stead on a variety of things on the internet. Hit me up, holler at me, verbally abuse me, whatever you want to do.
He really wants to just be friends.
It's true. You know what I really want right now?
A glizzy.
Well,
let's get it.
Until then,
drive history every day.